are powerful.
So yesterday there was a hoax on Twitter, and it actually really rocked Wall Street and made a lot of people nervous for a moment. There was the Associated Press Twitter account was hacked, and they sent out a tweet that said, "Breaking: 2 explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured." And that's all they had to do. And that one tweet falsely went out from AP, and stock prices started to plummet.
How many followers does the AP have on Twitter?
Panicking. That's a very good question. I don't know.
Because I'm just curious, like, what that reach was, you know, because
Yeah.
then people are retweeting it and favoriting it. And
But how is that
replying
any
to
different than what the stock market does anyway? With those guys that go in and
I think
they go in and they buy the stock or they sell it low and they manipulate it. So what's the difference?
Well, no,
Why
I mean, we're
aren't
talking
they
about
arrested?
What's
because we're talking
different
about
is just how the impact of social media that it has. Like, people like you, for example, 2 months ago were like, I don't understand the big deal about Twitter. Why should I tweet? Tweeting is stupid.
I didn't talk like that.
I don't need to tweet. And now you see the impact that one little tweet
Has
140 characters. That's all it takes,
You
and
know,
the huge impact that it has.
I'll tell you, when the whole Boston bombing incident went down, right when that news was breaking, there were a bunch of tweets that were going out, and the problem became what was factual and what was not. And some of the news media, some of the news organizations would take some of that information and where they were using it as a resource without actually checking their sources completely. I think it was it the Post, Stuart, or the New York Times that came under fire? Was it New York Post?
But don't you think we're going to
Came
have
under
to have
fire.
some like new regulations with social media?
I don't know how you would do it.
I don't know either, but gosh, it's going to really cause some major issues.
And you think in the case of the Boston event and the tragedy, the news media was on it 24/7, 7 days a week. So they only had this much information that they could report,
and they've
got to do it over and over and over.
Well, what's interesting about Twitter is that if there are people that were right there on the ground level at the Boston Marathon, you know, they're getting immediate, testimonies of people. So I think the great thing about Twitter, which I find very interesting as a blogger and someone who works a lot in social media, is it's so instantaneous. And so they don't have to fact check and verify, you know, so that is kind of the blessing and the curse of Twitter.
But I can't imagine in the middle of a bombing that you're going to tweet something.
Well, they are, because it's how people are getting information now. And I'll tell you, after working in the news for as many years as I have, and Susie, you know this too, when a story breaks, even if you have a first-person account, you know, that's down next to the incident, most of the time we're having to check with the public information officer for whatever unit is responding to get an official confirmation of the news.
Because even last week they had it out that they had captured the bomber. It was out on CNN.
Yeah.
And it was not true.
Right, and I think it's all changing now because everybody wants to be first to the story. Everybody wants to have, you know, the little piece of information that nobody else has, and in the rush to provide that information, I think a lot of false details come out in situations.
And our producer, Colleen, just to answer your question, there's 500,000 followers on Twitter for the Associated Press.
Well, you think about that, and
that's a
Courtney
lot
said,
of people.
How do you turn that into money?
I wonder how many times it was
links that you make money off of.
and you wonder how many times it was retweeted, how many times it was, you know, so it makes that viral loop and had a huge effect.
You know, I'm 75, and I'm thinking I always understood.
I thought you were 74.
Wait a minute, I always understood where old people got ready to die quick.
Are you planning on dying?
Here at the
There's
broadcast?
much more social media. I'm checking out. I'm just checking out.
Is it too much? This is too much. I call it too much.
It's
This is too much.
insane because it makes us work 50 times harder.
Yeah.
We're so stressed with all this technology that we didn't used to have. The phone rang, they left a voicemail. We didn't think we had to answer everything right now.
Yeah.
But that's what people's jobs are now.
No, but it created urgency.
But my job doesn't exist without social media.
Well,
Yeah, and I think
Like,
that
as a
comes
blogger,
time.
I don't have a job if social media is not there between Instagram, Vine, Pose, Twitter, Facebook, all of these venues that I have to send out a message and to send out images, Pinterest.
okay, what would you be doing if you had no social media? What would your
I don't
career
need to worry
be?
about that because there is social media.
But what would your career be? Think
Well,
about it.
I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing right now, which is getting paid to talk.
But the point is, and I think you have a good point, Susie, is that our lives have changed since social media. It is stressful for me. Like, I get mad when people call the house now. Like that used to be the only form of communication, and now with the house ring,
we don't even
I
have a house phone.
Yes, we
don't
have.
have
We
a
have.
But I don't even have a TV.
And I'm like, wait, mate, why didn't they text
gotta
or
get
call
a
my
TV.
cell? Or, I mean, and then trying to keep up like with Facebook and responding to Twitter and responding to text messages and emails. And people get upset if they don't hear back from you instantly. It's
I
a
like
lot.
people go, I saw that you tweeted, but you haven't answered my text.
Yeah.
See,
And
that's
it's
too
like-
much.
But I also think that just this is
Thanks,
a
stalker.
Hire Lauren Feinstein.
It's a technological age. Get with the program. You can't sit in your house anymore and say, "Oh, this is too much. It's too much information. It's too much." You can't do that anymore.
Yes,
If
you can.
No, to be an active
then you're
member
not
of
gonna be
society,
informed with what's going
to be an
on.
active member of society, you really need to be up on the things that are happening in
You-
society. And right now, it's social media.
Society has many groups. In my society, I don't have to be doing that. They're not tweeting at the nursing
In your
home.
Yes,
society,
they are.
you're on morning television.
Yes, they are.
That's right. Handling it with kids is even more stressful. So I got you. I'm telling you. I might not be at the nursing home, but my house is like daycare. And it is like so stressful when I get home and I got kids stuff
I
to work.
know
I mean,
it.
it really is. It's a bit much. But I know you're right, Lisa. I am trying as well to get a handle on this thing.
I say it to
and
myself,
Susie, you are
'cause I
too.
don't
I
use
mean,
it enough.
Lisa and I were just having this conversation during the commercial. She's like, I need to set a timer on my phone that reminds me to tweet like an Instagram and Facebook because I forget. Whereas me, I like in the commercial break was laying on that couch taking pictures of my shoes.
And I think it's different. I think it's
them out
different.
for everyone
It's
to
different
see.
for us a
He's
little
saying,
bit
let's get on with this.
because we have a platform here and people who are listening, and we have an opportunity to talk about hopefully things that matter.
The people watching the Rifleman are not tweeting.
That's not true. That's not true.
Isn't that right, gang?
That's not true.
What do you think, Ted Rogers?
People who watch Bonanza tweet.
Wick Allison, how do you feel about that?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Could we get everybody